Welcome all. Been here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, looking at the DXY on the daily time frame. I was looking at this like 1, 2, 3, and then an A, B, C in here, a flat. For this to come down and break the low. We do have a bull hidden here. So, and this is starting to take off. If I go down to the H4, where we're looking for I was looking for this to be a correction in here after this impulse down. Instead, this is starting to turn motive. So this is more bullish. So I'd really like to see a bullish setup in here, and then we could look to buy to go and break that top with that bull hidden on the daily there. Yeah, I think this is pretty much turning bullish. We may be getting a flat here. This pretty much has gone too far, this B wave. But we got a sharp move down in here. This can be a flat here. And we sort of got 1, 2. We're in a wave 3. You get a wave 4 and a wave 5. Or this is an A wave and then we get a B and a C here before we get more upside. Either way, whether we're looking for the wave 4 or a correction and then a C up, we're really looking for buys. Ideally, if you're not on it now, we get some sort of an A, a B, and a C here. We get a C down and then a bullish setup, and then we can look to buy. Other than that, it's pretty risky to start buying. We already have bearish divergence on the H1, so yeah. AU, I was looking for this A, B, C in here up to this 100 fib. It hasn't got there. It's broken all the tops over here. We are getting bearish divergence in here. So this may be all of it. And on the H4, we have that bearish divergence as well. We were looking for the buy after this impulse here. We got the correction. A little bit of upside. Now I believe it's bearish. We got all this bearish divergence. I'll just check to see if this low here has been broken. It hasn't been broken. This low here hadn't been broken. So ideally this low gets broken and then we get a correction. And then you could look for a sell. Until this low is broken, you've got to be very careful because there is that possible bull hidden there. So ideally this low gets broken, we get a correction, and then we can look to sell. GU, there's two scenarios here like I've gone over for, well, the last month or more. This can be a flat here and we get an A, B, C before we get a larger C up. Or this is just an A, B, C here and we go up and break the top from here. I'm more of the opinion that we get a flat here. Another one down and then we look to buy for that larger C up. I was looking for a wave 4 in here. It did go up and break the top without the time factor. I was looking for a time factor here to go up and break the top. It went a little bit early. But either way, we had, as soon as this top was broken, we got that bearish divergence. Now we got an impulse down. So again, if we get a bearish setup in here, look for a sell. Put that C down on the daily, for this one down in here. I'll actually put this on here. Give us an idea of what we're looking at here. EU, well, this is more on the weekly, but on the weekly we've got an A, B, C, a bounce clean off that 100 fib there. Again, on the H4, I was looking for one up in here. I was looking at this flat A, B, C here, expanding flat here, and we go up and break the top first and the second target. We had a nice impulse up in here, but it's come back and down and broken the low. This correction here is starting to be too large compared to this one. So something's wrong. There's two scenarios here now. This is looking quite choppy, so we may be getting a larger correction and then more upside, or this just comes down and breaks a low. If you remember, after we had this impulse up in here, I was looking for, if we get a correction in here, you could look to buy. Well, it turned quite motive down in here. And yeah, of course, now it's broken that low. So this in here may be some sort of an A wave. We get a C up, a flat, before we get more downside. So, if you are looking for a buy, for a C up, you got to be careful because it may just be a C up. We get a bear hidden in here and then more downside, and this turns into a flat. We'll just go down to the lower time frame. We are getting a lot of bullish divergence. Not a very nice setup though. I was actually looking at buying this after the non-farm payroll last night, but we had a nice impulse up in here. I was waiting for a correction to buy. Instead, it come down, didn't give me a setup, and come down and broke the low. So now it's very dangerous, even scalping. Like more than likely, we'll get an A, a B, and a C up in here before we get more downside. NU hasn't been playing nice, like I've been mentioning. I said a long time ago, until this low here is broken, I'm looking at an A, a B, and a C down. Before we get the larger A, B, C. So it's kept on going down in here, but even now we've got to be very careful because we have a bear hidden here. So this can be sort of like 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get a fifth wave down in here before we get that A, B, C. Whether this low here gets broken or not, with this, another fifth wave down in here, is beside the point at this stage because, as soon as this low here is broken, we can start to look for buys because that'll be the end of the wave 5. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, we either get an A, a B, and a C up as a running or expanding flat, and before we get more downside, or it goes up and breaks the top. More than likely, if this low here is broken, it'll turn into a flat here. So yeah, at this stage, I'd be looking for a sell just to scalp to break that low. We were looking for, after this impulse here, we got an A, B, C. We were looking for this up here. It didn't go very far. It did break the top. It's looking very messy at this stage. Like, Looks like that is the end of the C wave. I mean, this can turn quite messy. We get some sort of an A, B, C here before we get an A, B, C, a flat. You know, more downside. But yeah, I mean, at this stage, I'd be leaving NU alone. Unless we got an impulse up breaking that top there and a bullish setup, well, then you could look for a buy. Other than that, I mean, this could turn motive here and give us 5 down here. So you got to be careful with the buy. We are getting bullish divergence in here, but this wave here may not be over, and we can lose that, bullish divergence. But yeah, I'm more interested in the buys, but it's just not giving us buys. Like I mentioned, if I need an impulse up breaking that top and a bullish setup before I can look for a buy. GU's gone a little bit further than I would have liked. Well, it's to begin with, I was just looking for an A, B, C here before we get an A, B, C. This has turned into a more complex correction, like a WX, a wave Y, which can get up to that 161.8 before we get the X2, and a Z up before we get that A, B, C, larger flat, before we get fifth wave up on the weekly. So yeah, H4, we're getting all that bearish divergence. It gets risky. You can scalp. You can scalp going with the trend. Yeah, that's pretty much all you can do. And the more bearish divergence you get, the riskier it becomes. Still, UY, I was looking for this as a B wave in here before we get an A, B, C down, then turn more complex. So yeah, I'm looking for a sell, but it's not giving any sells. We were looking for a buy here. After that A, B, we were looking for a C up to that 100 fib there. It completed that. It started to fall over. I was looking for an A, B, C here. Instead, it's creeping up. So we're getting that bearish divergence there. So I would pretty much be leaving it alone. There's really not much to do on it. CAD, we haven't broken this low. I was looking for that W, X, Y, X2 and a Z down in here. Go and break that low. It never broke the low. H4, I was looking for a wave 4 here. And it is still possible. With a bear hidden. But yeah, this is more of a buy now. I mean, this has gone past that 50 fib here. We're starting to go into the territory of this wave 2 in this wave 4. I mean, it hasn't yet, so it's still within the Elliott wave rules that we can get a wave 5 down. But, if we get a correction in here, a bullish setup in here, well, then you could look to buy to go and break the top. We do have a nice impulse up. We need this correction before you can look for a buy. Other than that, there is no sell on it for a wave 5 down. So it's more bullish because we got an impulse up. Just waiting for a correction. Yeah. USD Swiss franc. I'm sort of looking for more downside here. This is looking very corrective to give us more downside. But yeah, again, it's been very difficult to trade this. if anything now, it's really on the lower time frame. But on the H4, we have a bear hidden here. So until that top's broken, it's quite risky to buy unless you're buying on the lower time frames. I mean, this had a bull hidden in here. It's gone up and broken the top. It actually went further than I thought. Yeah, I mean, again, there's really not much you can do. I mean, the buy was back down here. Um, Looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was a buy set up in here. It's a buy. Now it's becoming risky. I mean, you'd need some sort of a correction before you could look to buy, or you're just scalping flags. Like, I mean, the M15, it's giving some sort of a flag in here, like an A, B, C. We get a flat in here and then an A, B, C down before you get, scalping more upside. That's all you pretty much can do at this stage, just scalp. EG, pretty much leaving this alone until we see a complete correction in here. I mean, on the daily, we had the 5 up, so we're looking for a larger correction here before we look to buy. It looks like it's pretty much forming that correction. This can be that running flat. Problem is, on H4, I was just looking for 3 down in here, down to that 100 fib. It's gone further. It's gone down to the 123.6. So this is more motive. Like, this is more like a 1, 2, 3. We get a wave 4 in here and a wave 5 down. So if you are buying this, you're possibly buying into a wave 4 before we get a wave 5 down. WTI, we did finally break the low over here for this like A, B, C. So as soon as this low was broken, we're looking for buys. There was a couple of scenarios here. We either get this like larger C up, or we just get an A, B, C here, a flat, and then we get more downside. Internet cut out. This is very choppy, breaking this low. I mean, this was very difficult here to get onto. This is like a 1, 2, 3. So, wait for a wave 4 and a wave 5 up, or you could go down to the lower time frames and, wait for a correction in here. And to buy, you need a correction to buy, because if you go down onto the lower time frames, you'll see that we're starting to get bearish divergence here. On the M15, we're already starting to get that bearish divergence. So, we really need a larger correction. Some sort of a larger correction before we get, more upside. So yeah, pretty much waiting for a larger correction, especially after we got that bearish divergence there on the lower time frames. Gold's right up the top. Really need, a larger correction here again. An A, B, C. I need a C down, and then we could, join the trend with a bit more confidence that, there is that bull hidden here too. To go up and break the top. Looks like it's going to. But yeah, you're really just scalping with the trend. And yeah, we've had bearish divergence for quite some time, so it gets risky. Silver's pretty much the same. On the daily, I'm looking for a B wave. I need a B wave. Like we got a nice A wave up. We need a nice correction, and then we can buy for a C up longer term. I think on the lower time frame, this had a bull hidden in here too. Did. So we were actually looking for another one up in here. We got that bull hidden there. So yeah, you could look for on the lower time frame a bullish setup and buy to go and break the tops. But yeah, it's just scalping really. I mean, you're buying right up the top of the market. It's just scalping. Bitcoin, we got a nice impulse down from the top, just waiting for this correction here. It is starting to look very corrective too, which is good. We just got to wait until we get a complete correction in here, and then we can start to look for A, B, C down. Sell that C down. It's it's definitely not ready yet. I was looking for a fifth wave down here on the H4. That didn't play out. So yep, we're starting to get that larger correction on the daily here. So yeah, be careful trading it. More than likely it's going to be quite choppy for quite some time. So it's just scalping at this stage until we get, this complete correction in here, whatever it does. Until that happens, yeah, you're just scalping into a correction, which more than likely will be quite choppy. Well, you can see how choppy this is in here. So, do you want to risk trading that? Well, S&P 500 just about up to the second target in the wave 5 on the weekly, that 161.8. It's very close to it. So be very careful up here buying. We were looking for that A, a B, and a C up. It's given us that, and yeah, like I mentioned at the time when we looked at this as a complete correction, that that's your target, that 161.8. I'd be targeting that, and we're there. So yeah, be very careful up here. More than likely, we'll see a fair bit of resistance. I mean, this was your buy here. We're getting all that bearish divergence now. I'd be leaving it alone, unless you're just scalping with the trend, which becomes risky once you start to get that bearish divergence. U200. This one here, you could probably, we're looking at, we had that nice impulse up, an A, B, C here, a flat. It's very slow, but this can go up and break that top. If I can get my internet to work. Yeah, this is had this flat in here, and we got like another wave up. This is still looking rather bullish still. I'd be looking for another one down in here, breaking these lows, and then possibly getting another one up. It's just scalping though. This is quite choppy, so more than likely it's a correction before we get more downside. So if you are buying this, be very careful. For this, top to be broken. Yeah. The footsie's taken off. It's really taken off. I was looking at this as a wave B. It's going too far for a wave B. So yeah, not much you can do. Just waiting for a sell setup basically. That's all you can do. There is a bull hidden here, to go up and break the top. It's doing that. Ideally, this bearish divergence holds here, and then we get a nice impulse down, breaking the low, bearish setup, an entry for a sell. I'm more interested in a sell, especially up at these tops. This, the DAX, we were looking for this as a complete correction here as well, and this is taken off. This is one that could really take off because we could get an A, a B, and a C up. This one had the A, B, C, complete correction here to go up and break the top. So you're either on this or you're not, not much you can do now. Unless you're scalping on the lower time frames, waiting for, a correction and scalping the buys. But yeah, that's all it is. This is more of a 1, 2, 3. So you wait for a wave 4, get a bull hidden in here, and then you could trade the wave 5 up. Yeah, we're in a wave 3. So, the safest way is to wait for this wave 4, wait for a bullish setup, and then you trade the wave 5 up. So I hope you all enjoyed the weekly outlook and got something out of it. If you did, please hit the like button, share and subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.